Good evening, everyone. Welcome to LFC Transfer Room. I'm here joined by Paul and Alan to discuss what happened at the weekend. The match that we've played, obviously against Forest, and then to get ready before a pretty big week. Sorry for us, as we'll be heading to Prague to play in the Europa League, and then 3 days later, obviously, or 2 days later, even we're going to play City at Anfield. But until then, Paul, how are you doing tonight, mate?
I'm doing pretty good. It's always a good time to be talking about Liverpool after a win and seeing the events of what happened a couple of hours ago at the Etihad. It just bring home how important that header from Darwin Nunez was, because absent that header, we would not be in first place. So I'm doing pretty well. We have gotten a ton of snow in my area. It's like 4 feet outside. I don't think I can even drive out my car for the next day or two. But everything is better when we're talking about a Liverpool win. So I am doing good, man. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm still trying to obviously recover from what happened yesterday. Was shame on me. I actually stopped believing somewhere in the extra time. I just felt it was not our day, but that's what happens. That's what happens with Liverpool. We're gonna get into that later, though. Alan, what about you, mate?
Yeah, I'm really good, thanks. Good weekend. Weekend's always obviously good when Liverpool get the win. Obviously, would make it a little easier on me and win a lot more comfortably. But I suppose that's part of the journey, isn't it? Really. But no, good weekend. Big week coming up now. I know obviously we got Thursday to contend with, but a lot of our eyes now will be focused on Sunday. What's the team we can get out, and I think the atmosphere in Anfield on Sunday is going to be like, I've had a season ticket since I was 18. I'm 42 now. I don't think there'll be as big a game, one-off game in the league, atmosphere-wise, than this one since I've been going. I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm actually buzzing just thinking about it. But I think it's this one. I've actually been thinking today. I think this is like the toughest midweek game to get through. Like we still have the game in Prague, which is obviously important for us to get it done. But it's just, how are you not thinking about the weekend? I just feel like it's so tough, especially with what's been happening. So yeah, it is interesting. You said it's always a good weekend when Liverpool win. It's always I remember when last season when we used to have the early kickoff, on Saturday, if we'd lost, which happened a lot last season. I remember my whole weekend's been ruined, mine and the misses as well. So that's also comes with the territory, I guess. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and please leave your comments as well. We'd love to have your comments and you to discuss what's been happening. As well, we'll obviously take some comments during our conversations and go from there. Firstly, I'd like to just review the weekend. So, Paul, obviously, you said you talked about the importance of that header from Nunez, because some of us maybe thought that City were going to drop points, but honestly, even when it was like, I didn't even dream about it, because it's just the way it is with City. I guess they always end up winning. So, Paul, how was that Forest final 10 minutes against Forest for you, and how would you maybe rate out this weekend for Liverpool?
Well, actually, I was quite nervous with 5, 10 minutes to go, just because law of averages suggest that we can't continue to win like this. you know, we all know what just happened a week ago against Chelsea. So I just did not expect us to win at that point. We did it a couple of times. We did it against was it Crystal Palace, when we were down and then we scored two late goals, including an injury time goal by Harvey Elliott. So we're not supposed to be winning so many of these games, in this fashion. So I was pretty sure that it was not going to be our day. As a matter of fact, I was even more nervous than that, because Forest could have nicked a goal, and then that would be the end of our season, actually, in terms of winning the trophy. Because I knew that City was going to find a way to beat United. City may drop points going forward, but if they do, it's going to be one of those teams that might be a shock, maybe a Palace away or some shock result. But no way that City was going to not win against United at home today. So, I was a little bit nervous. So I was super relieved when I saw the ball in the back of the net. As a matter of fact, it took me about a minute before I started to celebrate because knowing our luck, I was looking to see if they're going to be a VAR check. I need to see the replay to see is he offside. So, it wasn't until they actually resumed the game that I said yes. That was when I was celebrating. So it was just one of those roller coaster weekends. And then, at halftime today, I was saying, is United Man U is really gonna give us a big favor today? But we know what's gonna happen in the second half, and it surely did. But all we can ask for is just a chance. We just have to just continue to win. Um, we can't control what happens in other games that we're not involved in, but it is in our hands. If we can beat City, then I think we would be almost halfway there. But I think it is imperative. This is one of the few games where I'm going to say, you know what? If you offer me a draw right now, I'll probably take it. I know it might be sound negative, but if we take a draw, if we draw today, at least on Sunday, at least we will not be behind City. At least it will still be in our hands. And I think we have a little bit more favorable set of fixtures to end the season than City. But this is a game that we just cannot afford to lose. So I'm just looking forward to it. There's no way we can afford to play like United do and give City 75% possession. I don't think we will, but I am already nervous for the game on Sunday. I'm not even thinking about the game on Thursday. That's kind of irrelevant right now. But you know what? City, I'm sure they are worried about us just as much as we are worried about them. So we just have to wait and see what happens on Sunday.
Yeah, as I said, I think it's going to be tough to get to Sunday without taking it. I just trust that the players and obviously Jurgen will keep them grounded ahead of first leg in Prague, but it's so tough not to get ahead of ourselves and just go straight to the evening. Welcome to everyone in the chat. Please continue leaving your comments. And yes, we've had this coming from Haler. So now Leverkusen are probably, it's safe to say they're going to be champions in Germany. So it's going to be interesting to have a conversation about who maybe comes from there in the summer. But that's probably a conversation to have in the next few months. Alan, your thoughts, please, on the weekend, on the match, and what's been happening at the Etihad, maybe.
Yeah, well, I agree with a lot of what Paul said about the game yesterday. When I was watching it, it just kind of never felt we were quite there. But I think Klopp said it after the match, which is kind of what Paul was getting at. To try and go and win 4 games like the way we are with the squad we got is quite difficult to do. And to go to like literally the last second in 2 games, you kind of can't keep doing that. But the way the game is going, you always think one more chance, just one more chance, one more chance. And I thought when we had that cross, I don't know, I think it was on a corner about 2 or 3 minutes before we did score, where the keeper made a great save. You thought, that's it, there's the chance gone. And then when they broke, and obviously all that hullabaloo over, Canate going down and whatever else, you thought then, like 95, 96 minutes, the chance is gone. But it's like one of those ones when you watch that ball get floating in the back, you just like, it flicks it on and it's in, and you release, and then you realise, oh no, he's probably offside, because Nunez is offside quite a lot. So like Paul, I was waiting for the TV cameras to stop showing replays, just get back to live TV, so I know they've either kicked off or they're waiting for the lines to come on. And then when they kicked off with the whites, that's it. 10 seconds to go, just clear the ball. And then when they did score, I think I celebrated the full-time whistle more than the goal because I knew it was then over. That was the main thing. But yeah, so pleased with how well they'd done, and how, again, they just dug in and just kept going and didn't know when they were done. So I was really pleased with that. But I said, I think on a stream a couple of weeks ago, the way obviously the season's going now, the chances of us, City and Arsenal, well, I know we can't because we play each other, winning every game to the end of the season, I think is pretty much not going to happen. So I think as a fan base, we've got to kind of prepare ourselves that there's a chance we might drop points somewhere. And if we do, not to lose our heads a little bit. Because, and as Paul said, we can't beat City. Well, we play the next week. Well, why don't we go and beat them? Don't worry about United doing it or Arsenal do it. We've got a chance next week. Let's go and try and beat them. With today's game against United, in the first half, I saw United had quite a few opportunities to break on City, like Chelsea did. But the right pass or whatever didn't quite go their way. Now, I can't see Liverpool sitting back next week to play counter-attack football on City. I think it's going to be hell for leather, and it will be like two heavyweight boxers just swinging. And, I just hope we come out with a knockout punch. And I think if Mo's back, I think that's a big psychological boost for us. Because I think their left back today, Ake, looked get-atable, shall we say. And I think Salah would, I like to think, cause a bit of damage down there.
Yeah, I think what's funny about what you said is, I felt the same when I saw Nunez's chance being saved, like just 2 minutes before he actually scored. Because it was one of those moments when you actually thought, yeah, if that didn't go in, then it's over. But see, that's the thing. That's the thing that I said. I said it at the beginning of the stream as well. It's always it's been like this because, as Liverpool fans, especially before Jurgen came in, I think we've had some of our moments where we didn't necessarily feel comfortable or maybe feel optimistic going into a lot of games. But now it's almost like when you think it's all over, just they somehow find a way to win it. And it's honestly, I think it's just way better than winning the way City have maybe, the past few seasons where they just win 3-4-0. And yeah, I mean, not that good for my hairline, but somehow it's it's at least good for my soul. Yeah. Up next we are going to discuss, I've seen Haler commenting quite a lot on it, and that's actually going to be our next topic as well. Ever since Jurgen Klopp came in, I think I think we can now safely assume that we've turned from doubters into believers. So this season, the game against Crystal Palace, the game against Fulham, the game yesterday, and I think I'm missing another one. If you guys can help me, I know there was another late winner somewhere. Yeah, Wolves as well in the end. There were quite a few matches that just went up until the final 2-3 minutes where we actually got the winner. I think against Fulham we were even down in the 88th minute and we still found a way to win. So Paul, how would you what do you think about this whole season and the way we've been winning matches? Is it again something about the Liverpool way, the Liverpool mentality, the Klopp mentality that he's brought here ever since coming in? Or do you think that maybe we can flip it and look at it the other way and think that it might not be sustainable to keep winning matches in injury time?
One other thing that I think help us, to have such good second half and to help us win some of those close games is the confidence that the gaffer have in the entire squad. He doesn't go into games with preconceived moves in his head. Okay, I'm going to start again. I'm going to take off this guy at 60, this one at 75. He tends to watch the game and make the right subs depending on the flow of the game. And also the ability of the players, everybody in the squad, to be able to play the same way, the same style. It means that you don't have to change the way we play depending on which player or players is or isn't available. So that is a big help. And when Klopp announced that he was going to leave at the end of the season, I wasn't with the crowd that suggests that this is going to motivate the players any more than if he had not made that announcement. But now I'm starting to think that there is something to it because it's clear that the players desperately want to win for Klopp. And it also starts with the captain. You know, I wasn't a fan, especially in the last year or two, of Henderson the player, but I was a fan of Henderson the captain. You know, the way he would guide the younger players and, take responsibilities for, when we're in certain sticky situation. I trust me, I did not see that in Van Dijk, but Van Dijk has superseded that in my opinion. His leadership over the last couple of months, no doubt in my mind, is responsible for some of the results that we have been pulling out. When we have a type of leader that Van Dijk, who is not the most boisterous and loud guy, he's the kind of guy that will say, you know what, follow me, follow me, and he will guide the youngsters instead of shouting at them. And when you, as a young player, get an opportunity and the manager trusts you and your captain is playing the way he is, every single person who gets an opportunity is going to leave everything on the field. And getting back to somebody like Darwin Nunez too, he has gotten a lot of stick and criticism from pundits and rival fans. But I believe that the way that the Liverpool supporters support Darwin, the way that the manager would give him a big hug at the end of games, even if he didn't score or he had a missed chance or two. This kind of love that is being shown to these players, this probably helps to get us that additional 5 or 10%. And sports is usually defined by tiny margins, right? And sometimes that extra effort, because even the goal yesterday, yes, we all knew it was a great cross by Maka on his left foot and the finish by Darwin. But just if you back up 35, 40 seconds before that, and you see the effort of Joe Gomez to go get that ball and kick it off the guy to get the corner, whilst most players in that situation with a minute or two to go will just resign and just, what, this is not our day. So there is something to the camaraderie in the group, and I think if we don't win, put it this way, if we don't win, it will not be because of lack of trying. The guys are prepared to give 100% every day, every minute, and you know what? Let's just enjoy the ride. Hope we win, but if we don't, it will still be a memorable season, and we can just support them and just thank them for the memories that they are creating this year. But we are just on for the ride as supporters. Yes, sometimes it's a little bit nerve wracking because when you're sitting there watching and you're helpless, you know, but the joy that we get when we hear the final whistle and we see the 3 points, it's just something that is just hard to explain. Let's hope we can keep it going. And I don't know if I could manage another last minute win against City on Sunday. I don't know if my heart can take it, but I will be there watching.
Yeah, and I think about the thing that you said about him giving 100%, and if we don't win anything, it's not for lack of trying. I think that's basically all we can ask for at this point, especially as at the beginning of the season. I remember I said it on quite a few streams that I don't think that we're going to push for the league this season because it's a rebuild season, and we're only going to get top four, and that's going to be it. And still somehow we're in the position that we are in. So I think I that's one of the reasons that I don't want to see the fan base just be extremely disappointed if we end up not winning the league, because let's be honest, the beginning of the season we didn't think we were going to be in this position anyway. So as you said, Paul, I think we just have to enjoy the ride and take it game by game and see where we end up. So Alan, I think we kind of went a bit away from the point, but the topic that we were in were the late winners that we've had this season. Are they sustainable? I remember whenever I ask myself this question, I remember something that Pep Guardiola said in one of his interviews. If it happens once or twice, then maybe it's luck. But if it keeps on happening like that, then it's just not just luck. So your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think a lot of that to me down to the size of the squad, the quality within the squad, and the sheer belief of its next over. Now, obviously, I was of an age of when United were winning a lot of titles in the 90s, and the amount of times they would get a last minute winner and you go, oh, not again. They just always would do it. I think with Liverpool, I think it is a sign of the way the squad is. I think Paul made a good point before. The way we've got quite a bigger squad, and the fact that we're scoring these quite late goals because we're bringing quality players on the pitch. Now, at the moment, obviously, the squad's a bit depleted, so whether we can continue to do that, I'm not too sure. I think we had our full strength team. You could literally go 60, 70 minutes against a tired defence. Oh, when here comes Diego Jota. Oh, here comes Luis Diaz, or here comes whoever. And out of that front five, as it was, if everyone's fit, Salah's the only one who's guaranteed to start and finish probably. The rest can all interchange. So you're constantly bringing fresh legs on, and I think that does make a big difference. And I think that's one of the reasons why we have scored so many late goals, because we've had the chance to bring on quality. I know Nunez came on with about 30 minutes to go yesterday. When his quality came on, obviously he's got the winning goal. I do believe that it's down to the squad. Whether we can continue to do it, I think is down to the squad. If we get everyone back, now obviously international football comes into play soon, so that kind of gives the first team, the ones who are injured, an extra week to try and get back. Because once you get back, I think we play Brighton after the international football, and then that's the running. That's when you go foot to the floor and you go and you want as many people as you've got possibly fit and available to play. So get the squad back. I think we can keep getting these late winners. But ideally, let's win 3 or 4-0. And it'd be nice and easy. But that's not going to be the way. Liverpool don't do it easy. Never have. Probably never will.
Yeah, it's been quite the recurring joke with Steve, and I've had it on stream and on chat as well. Like I said it, I think especially in the first half of the season up until December, January, we just couldn't get it done a bit earlier so that I could actually try and relax. We couldn't get the second goal and to actually head into the last 10, 15 minutes with a bit more relaxed. But that's that's the Liverpool way. So I guess we'll enjoy it the next few months as well. So up next, we're gonna head to Prague on Thursday. Now, if we didn't have all these injuries, then probably I wouldn't be extremely worried, especially as even if, let's say, we don't win in Prague, we still get it done in Anfield. So it's not going to be a huge problem. But now that game on Thursday actually starts to become a problem, not necessarily in the way that we're going to have, an extremely tough opposition, but we now don't really have a lot of options. I think, before the injuries, we could have maybe we could have switched 10 out of the first 11 players and we would be fine. But now I don't think we're in that position anymore. So, Paul, I wanted to ask you, how do you view that match? Who would you play? Mo Salah still not back. Szoboszlai and Nunez played a bit against Forest. Virgil van Dijk as well. Would he start? Robertson as well. Who would you play on the right? Who would you play on the left? Your thoughts on the Europa League match?
I expect that the manager will bring the changes. There'll be a lot of changes. don't be surprised if most, if not all, of the players who were on the bench, all of the youngsters, don't get a game. Because unlike the game we played against Southampton, that game was a one and done. That game was a game that will be decided on the night. This is a two leg scenario. So even worst case should happen that we don't win. We still have that team to come to Anfield. So we have that in the bag. So there is a little bit less pressure on us, in that scenario. And plus, I am 100% sure that with Man City just 2 days away from that game, the manager will prioritize the Man City game. So I don't expect much of the first team players to start. And this is a game that I hope to see Adrian in goal because I couldn't deal with myself if Queeve played, got an injury, and can't play against City with Allison not available, right? So if we have Adrian 60 grand a week and he can step between the sticks in a game like this against a team that I've never heard of away in a Europa League game, then what's the point? So I would not play Keller in that game. Um, I would not play Van Dijk nor Konate as well. At least not start either of them. So don't be surprised if you see Joe Gomez or the very reliable Joe Gomez who basically plays everywhere except in goal. Don't be surprised if you see Joe Gomez partnering Kwanzaa at the back. And on the right side, I think Connor Bradley might need a break as well. But I expect to see a lot of the youngsters. In the middle of the park, Maka needs a break for sure. So that's why I won't play. So expect to see the young guys, McConnell, Bobby Clark, Kumas, Dance. These are the players that I want to see. Elliot also needs a break because he has played a lot of football. So it's going to be a makeshift team. And it's a kind of a game where if we come away with a draw, it won't be the worst result in the world because obviously we have them at Anfield when we should be able to play a much stronger squad if we need to. But honestly, I am not even thinking about that game. I am just thinking about Sunday because Sunday is so much more important. And to be playing a game away on a Thursday night, to travel back for a Sunday game of this magnitude, it's one of those away games that we could do without. It's gonna be tough, but I don't know about this team that we're playing, and the fact that I don't know about them, that suggests to me that they should not pose a problem. But it's football, and with a team like Liverpool coming to their place, every player on that team will want to show to the world, you know, that they played against Liverpool. I want to put in a performance. So you just never know. But as I said, because it's not a one and done, and they have to come to Anfield, and because we have Man City, which might be a season-defining game on Sunday, I don't expect to see any of our big players starting that game.
So about our opposition, Sparta Prague, I think, is still the biggest club in the Czech Republic, if I remember correctly, by the trophies. If we're speaking about the trophies, and they are in first this season, only lost once in the league. So coming into this match, I'd expect them to be, quite buzzing to be in this position to be able to play Liverpool, especially in the season. I wouldn't expect it to be necessarily. I wouldn't be extremely confident playing the youngsters in this match just because of it. I think it won't be as easy as we think it might be. I saw this comment by Jay Muse, and I just wanted to say that, funnily enough, in my days, I used to play as a right back and as a CDM, so I was the little Joe Gomez of my club. So maybe I wouldn't be terrible, at least for like 10-15 minutes, until I probably I'd have to stop running. Okay, so Alan, your thoughts on the opposition, on the game, on the quick turnaround, and on who do we start?
Yeah, well, obviously, I only know a bit of Sparta Prague, not a lot. I know obviously they've only lost once this season, as you said just a few minutes ago. But I think obviously full strength Liverpool, as in like we had the full team. I think over 2 legs we would win relatively comfortably. But I don't think we would go kids wise. I think we will go sort of half semi serious because especially with the players who have just coming back, I think Klopp's very big on rhythm. So I can see some players getting an hour, like being set substitution. So maybe see Soberslide maybe do an hour and like no more, just to get some rhythm into his legs, ready for Sunday, because we need his energy on Sunday. That's for definite. I don't think it's going to be an easy game, but I think we can obviously go and get a result over there. With Sunday kept in mind. Now on Thursday, I believe it's the earlier kickoff rather than the 8 o'clock one. So I think it's 5:30 UK time, which means Liverpool will be back because Prague's literally about an hour and 20 minutes away. So Liverpool will be back at Liverpool Airport around about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. Now, is that a massive difference? Possibly, because they'll be back home in their own bed and, these little small things. But I think team-wise, I would pull a little bit with possibly Adrian playing. Obviously, I never thought I'd say that, but probably have Adrian playing because we can't afford. Gallagher's got to stay in the team until Alisson's available. Defensive-wise, I can see Virgil being kept out and maybe in Kwanzaa. I think Kanate maybe will play. I think left back will be Simicas. I think Robertson might be given on the bench, maybe come on, maybe do again an hour for Simicas, maybe a little bit more. Who will play right back? Conor Bradley, obviously he's come off the last couple of games, because obviously he's only a young lad and playing that amount of games, and I think Sunday's game against City is going to be really, really intense. So I don't know who I'd go with right back. I'm not too sure. We have to kind of see. I'll leave that to Jurgen, I suppose. Again, I can see probably Endo getting again maybe an hour in there. Up front, I think it's interesting because I thought Gakpo yesterday looked really, really tired. So I don't know whether you'd want him to go again. I think it all does fall down to whether Mo's going to be available for Sunday. Because if he's available for Thursday, is it worth giving him half an hour to get rhythm into his legs? That is the question. Because I know they say, you could start and you get injured. Well, that could happen against City. But you want to be fair, when he came on against Brentford, he didn't need long to get warmed up, did he, to be fair? So maybe he should be fine. But I would like to see Jayden Danns, because he looked like a bundle of energy. I like Bobby Clark. I thought he did very well yesterday. So I wouldn't be overly too bad maybe with them in there. But it's just a shame that there's so many players injured, because we could have had a decent team out with a bit of experience. But, I don't know who he's going to pick, but I think we should hopefully have enough in the squad that's available over 2 legs to beat them.
So that is going to be, quite a tough team selection for Jurgen. I was thinking, as you were talking, I was thinking about what you said with Mo. I think for me, if Mo Salah is fit for Thursday, then I think he just has to play for like half an hour to get him into a bit of rhythm going into that City match, for him to start, obviously. Because I don't know if I start him without any minutes against City, especially as it's going to be a pretty intense game at Anfield. But then I was thinking, we get Mo on, we'd need to get probably Soboslai on so we can start him on Sunday as well. We're going to need to get Cody Gakpo, maybe Nunez at the end as well. But then who do we play in midfield? So we have 5 changes, but then you wouldn't play McAllister or Endo for more than 60 minutes, I suppose, because they've been tired as well. And Endo had a bit of an, injury, was it even against Chelsea, or cramps or whatever? He was obviously tired. So I think it just makes our job, Jurgens and the staff's just a lot more difficult because, I was looking at the schedule, and again, we're playing Sparta. We're having 2 days off, and then City at Anfield, 2 days off, 3 days off. Sorry. Then we're playing Sparta at home. 2 days later, we're playing at Old Trafford in the FA Cup, which uh, I think the win against Southampton was just that much more important because we now don't have to play Everton in the league um, that weekend, so we're gonna have to play in the FA Cup. So all these matches that I've just listed are going to be tough. As you know, even if we get a result in Prague, we're gonna have to see it through at Anfield, and that comes in between the City and the United match, which I don't know about you, but I just don't want to see us lose against United. It's just I can cope with it personally. I don't know. I just hate United that much, I guess. But um, yeah, we're gonna have 2 extremely intense weeks. So yeah, we're gonna have to see how that goes.
Well, we need we are a wounded team in terms of our injuries. We need to see some of the guys coming back. I don't know what the status of Curtis Jones and or Gravenberch. Um, I think Thiago is done. I don't expect to see Thiago in a Liverpool shirt again. I, based on how Klopp sounds, I also don't expect to see Stefan Bajcetic for the rest of this year. So whether we like it or not, we're going to rely a lot on these youngsters, this Bobby Clark, this McConnell, these kind of guys, and they just have to just grow up in front of our eyes, you know, and second thought, maybe we should not have loaned out Fabio Carvalho because he certainly could have done with the extra body in midfield, especially in some of these games where we don't have our front three. So, if we have an extra attacking midfielder, we could, change the shape somewhat. But, it is what it is. We don't have him. So, but it is going to be tough. But if you look on the bright side, maybe in another year or two, when these youngsters becomes a huge part of the team, we can look back at this part of the season and say, you know what, everything works out well in the end because we have to rely on them. And I think we have the right manager to manage these guys through this tough situation. And the fact that they have been having some success, the fact that we won the Carabao Cup last week, which was huge, to give them this taste of what it is to lift a cup, that should even motivate them. And if you look at even yesterday when young Dance came on late, he was probably a little bit too over enthusiastic, you know. Even that bump into the keeper was a little bit too much. But what it shows is that these guys are so eager to do well. They are so eager to give everything for the team because of the manager and the trust that we place in them. That if we can come through this little period with all of these injuries, then I think we'll be fine as a club going forward. Because truly we are ahead of the game. Because to the back end of last season, especially in the off season, when we hear that Fabina is gone, Henderson's gone, we know that Ox and Navigator is gone, and we're getting Bellingham, then no. We're getting Caicedo, then no. Okay, well, okay, we're looking for Lavia, then no. If you had offered us a trophy and top four for this season at that point, most of us would gladly take it. And now it's safe to say we have already achieved that because we have a trophy, and even if we collapse from here, we're still going to be in top four. So, you always want more. The closer you get, is the more important it is to win. But sometimes we have to just temper our expectation and just say, you know what, where we are as a club right now, the club is extremely healthy because most of these injured players, we expect them to come back later on in the season. And these youngsters that are coming through now because of this opportunity, might save us a lot going forward. We don't have the 300, 400 million to spend like Chelsea and City. But with these youngsters, we might not need that kind of money to have a fantastic team. So let's hope that they can see us through. But I'm just going to program in my mind to say, you know what, there are going to be some hiccup along the way. We might be favorites to all of the games in left on our calendar, probably except the game against City. But we all know that it is unlikely we're going to win every game because sports is just not like that. So if we just temper our expectation and just say, you know what, we are way ahead of where we thought we would have been at this point, then when we don't win a game, that can probably see us through as fans. But it is really exciting to be in this position because last year we were just clinging and hoping that we could make Champions League, which we didn't. So we are still way better than where we were last year. So it's not all doom and gloom. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I remember when I heard you just a few seconds ago, talking about the season. I remember us on the stream before the Luton game, I think. And I've said it, almost obsessively in these last few weeks. If we beat Luton, we beat Southampton, and then Forest, then we're going to be in a very interesting position going into the City game, which we have, by the way. So now, going into the City game, we are top of the table. We've won the League Cup. We are into the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, and we are still in the Europa League. So I think, as you said, even with all these injuries, I think this has to give us, that push to keep on going because we've been so uh, we've been so positive this season. Sorry, I've just seen this by Jamie, isn't it? Okay. It's just been a great season, to see, especially after the disappointment of last season. So that's what I wanted to say. Okay. One thing that I wanted to discuss as well was I don't know if you've seen the stats or the tweet regarding the second half points accumulated by every team in the Premier League this season. So basically, this season, if we would only take into account the second half of every game, Liverpool would be top by 9 points. The second would be Arsenal. So that would be out of 27 second halves we've played this season, 20 wins, 4 draws, and 3 losses. So, Paul, what I wanted to ask you about is who would you give credit to in this situation? Because I think we've all discussed it. We've all said that Liverpool is basically a second half team this season, has been at least. So, we've won so many points in the second half. Who would you give credit to for that? Is it just the mentality that the club brought to the club, or is it maybe this push that the youngsters gave to the club? Sorry.
A lot of praise needs to go to the management, not just Klopp, even though he probably deserves a fair share of the credit, but the entire coaching staff, especially the academy guys, because a lot of teams in the Premier League have had injuries this year. Injuries are up. But why our injuries are so much more challenging is the players that we have lost. We have lost for some of our big players. Take Arsenal for example. Arsenal have had injuries, but how would they cope if they were without Saliba, Declan Rice, those kind of players? We have, a lot of people suggest that we have the best front five in Europe, but when you have the starting three, which I guess if everybody's fit, you could say that the starting three would be Salah, Nunez, and Salah, Nunez, and
Diaz, Jota.
and Jota. And for a bulk of the last couple of 2 months, we have never had all three available, right? And there are times when we have all three not available. Our best midfield, probably, if everybody is fit, probably would be some combination of Curtis Jones, Sabasly, um, Thiago, Trent. All of these guys were out, and we're still where we are. So a lot of credit has to go to the coaching staff and the academy staff to not only have these youngsters ready to go, but also to give them the confidence that we are not just gonna play and hang on. We're just gonna play the way we play, and it doesn't matter who we're playing, we are going to win, right? So yes, the players have to come out and show it, and because even players like Connor Bradley, he is probably the find of the year so far. A month or so ago, I would say that the find of the year was Jarl Kwanzaa. But the injury to Trent and the way Bradley has taken that position and make it his own, he's probably the find of the year so far. So I give a lot of credit to the coaching staff.
Yeah, I think what's funny is that if you would have told me in August that we were going to go into the quarterfinals of the FA Cup at Old Trafford and play Kwanzaa, Clark, McConnell, Dance, Bradley, and I'd be like, if I heard that in August, I'd probably have a rant at FSG, and how they left us get into this position. But somehow now, when you hear those names, even at Old Trafford, I feel like would be. I mean, personally, at least, I'd be okay with it. I say, bring it on. I think they can handle it, which is, I think, obviously the biggest compliment that you can give to Jurgen and the young lads as well, and Virgil van Dijk, because as you said, I think he's been setting the standards this season. I think with what's interesting about you mentioning at the beginning of the stream, you said you've talked a bit about Hendo and Van Dijk and the difference between the two, and I feel like last season, that might have been a problem with Hendo, that he kind of dropped the level, and him being still the captain of the club, maybe didn't look all right to everyone else. Alan, your thoughts on all the points that Liverpool have basically won in the second half this season? Who would you give the credit to, and well, how'd you were you able to cope with it, especially with the last 10-15 minutes?
Well, I can cope with it is another story. I think the main person you want to thank, really, I think, is Klopp, if I'm being honest with you, because I said before a few times, I think the squad that we've got and the kids that are available, I always tend to kind of feel confidence with the second half, purely on this basis of the fact that I know Klopp said it himself, that obviously they have the analysts who, while they're in the stands, they're kind of looking for things in the first half, and Klopp takes that information in like a 10-minute window and then gets a message out to the players. And by the time you come out second half looking at a different team, it's a bit like, let Klopp see the first half, see what the opposition are trying to do, and he'll work it out, obviously, with the coaching staff, and they'll then put a plan in place. And as Paul said earlier on, I think the main credit to Klopp this year when making subs is as I'm sure every sub he's made is incorrect, but you probably say 19 times out of 20, or 29 out of 30, he's kind of got right. And it's not just the personnel, it's sometimes the timing of it as well. So I think you've got to give credit for second half performances down to the manager, based on what he's seeing ahead of him, knowing who he's got behind him, and knowing who behind him can impact the game based on what he's seen in front of him. So I'll give the main credit to Klopp myself personally.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. I wanted to say something. I don't know. I just forgot it. Just a second. Sorry. I wanted to say something regarding a Klopp point, but yeah. Anyways, yeah.
Well, let's think about that too. I have another point. One other thing that Is it just luck? Is it proper scouting? Because this we have been we have hit basically on all of our transfers this year, you know. And if when you look at the guys that we signed in the off season, and then you compare it to the guys that we wanted to sign but didn't sign for whatever reason, you know, is it luck or were we just smart? Because as I said in the group chat earlier today, we wanted to sign Mason Mount. He didn't come. We signed Soboslai. We wanted to sign Lavia. We didn't get him. We signed Endo. We wanted to sign Amrabat. He decided to go to Manu. We signed Gavin Birch. you know, so I'm sure, did we dodge bullets or we were just lucky? So even if you said that, well, some of these guys like Caicedo, who has been not too great for Chelsea, would have been better, playing if we, had signed him. That may be true. But some of the other guys that we wanted to sign that we didn't sign, like Mount or Levy, they haven't even kicked the ball. So this is why I think the stars may be aligned for us to do something special this year, because it's it's unusual to have 3 or 4 signings and all of the signings seem to hit the ground running. Um, McAllister may be the signing of the season when you think about his contribution and compared to the price that we pay for him. When you think about some of the other signings, Kai Havertz is okay, but they paid almost 3 times what we pay for McAllister. So I think the stars are aligned. Hope we get the right manager in, because that's going to be crucial too. Because we need to have these youngsters getting the opportunity, going forward. Because if things go as planned, we don't know what's going to happen with Man City. They still have their charges pending. Is this what I'm trying to say? Is are we looking at the start of another dynasty? Is it possible? Because how do you have a dynasty? You have a squad of young, talented players. And I think we have that. The drop off between the starting 11 and any player on the bench is nowhere, is not as drastic as it used to be a few years ago. You know, yes, we used to have some guys, nice guys coming off the bench, but it's more, trying to stop a gap or see off a game. Now we can play any 3 from our front 5. We can play any 3 from the 7 midfielders we have. We can play any 2 from our 4 centre backs. And, we can play whether we want to play Bradley at right back or Trent or Joe Gomez, whether we want to play Robertson at the other side or Simicas or Gomez again. The drop off is not that great. So I am thinking that did we just stumble on a dynasty? Because I really, really like the young talent we have in this team going forward. And I'm really excited to see what the next couple of years will bring. So that is why it is so, so crucial that we get the manager correct. That is the big challenge that we have facing us right now. And let's hope we get the right guy.
Yeah, I think it's the manager and then the sporting director as well, which is another position that we have to fill probably by the end of the season. Um, so yeah, what's interesting about what you said is I remember at the beginning of the season I was thinking Soboslai has to be the signing of the season already, and then what McAllister has done in the past few weeks now, in the past few months actually, you know just by looking at them and not deciding who was better, who's had the best season overall, I think that's this the biggest compliment that we can make to this to the recruitment again, because as you said, we've missed out on Caicedo and on Lavia, and somehow we still got the better player out of them all, which is, I think, just the funniest thing that could have happened. So yeah, too bad Endo is not 25 anymore, but by looking at him, I think he still has 2-3 good years in him still. Um, Yeah, you know what? I remembered, Alan, the things you said. Yeah, you said that 19 out of 20 times Jurgens has to be the one to give credit to. What's interesting is your choice of numbers, 19 to 20, is, something that we'd like to see change on the Champions Wall as well. So interesting mention you've had that there. Um, so yeah, Alan, do you want to add anything else to the ramblings of me and Paul that we just had in the last 5 minutes?
No, I've enjoyed listening to it. To be fair, I agree with everything pretty much being said. I do think we've got a really good squad. I think getting the right manager in to continue the development of these players. Because sometimes if it's not broken, doesn't need fixing. He's got to come in and just put their particular stamp on it. I do think we've got a really good 11. And I think the backup to it is really good as well. But I think a few years ago we had a really good 11 and an okay backup. So if we got these injuries a couple of seasons ago, I think it would have impacted us a lot more. But as you know, every opportunity comes sometimes through someone's misfortune, and you think of obviously Matip getting injured early in the season. Obviously, his season's over. Has allowed Quant to come in and look like he's been playing for Liverpool for like 10 years. So he's a really good prospect going forward. When you look at the way obviously Trent's been injured, because I know Klopp said that Conor Bradley played quite a few games in pre-season, and they were like, "Wow, look at this kid," and then obviously he got injured. So you think obviously Trent being injured has allowed him to come in and look like he's played for Liverpool forever, and the two young kids, McConnell and Bobby Clark, have looked again that they can handle themselves. I think obviously it's going to be a case of when they play in the big games, how will they cope under that pressure? Because you only learn that experience from playing in those games. That's why I don't know whether you guys did see like the Inside Anfield videos that they do. It showed you the clip, I think it was from the Southampton game, where obviously it wasn't done for camera, but obviously the cameras are rolling, so obviously it was picked up with Virgil's giving them all a pep talk before they go out. And he's saying, right, enjoy it, be there for everyone, stick together, always look out for each other. And you think, well, that's what you want your captain to say. That wasn't done for a Sky interview or a BT interview. That was done just purely for those young lads. And, I think with the leadership team we've got and those youngsters, I do think we've got a bright future. Just got to make sure we get the right manager in place. And we all know we want. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I was thinking when I heard you and Paul talk about the next manager, I feel like there's this guy that keeps getting the best out of his players in the Bundesliga this season. So yeah, and what's interesting is about what Paul said about the maybe starting a dynasty now. What's interesting is that outside of oh my god, Endo, sorry, Wataru Endo, all the players that we've signed, all the midfielders are under 25. But you only have to take into account, you also have to take into account that we have Bradley, Kwanzaa, McConnell, Clark, Dance, Neoni, so many youngsters that are still breaking through. So it is going to be, it is going to be a pleasure to see Liverpool play in the next few seasons. That's for sure, because I'm really curious to see how these guys develop. And yeah, obviously my my thinking is that Xabi Alonso is the guy to take them forward. But well, obviously we've discussed that quite a few times, and we're going to probably discuss it in the next few months as well, a lot more. Hopefully
Yeah.
we'll have the McAllister type deal with him as well when we know for the past few weeks that it's going to happen. So it's just a matter of them
Well, that's
announcing it.
why we hope, I think, that Leverkusen get the title won early. So then
Yes.
it's not a case of going down to the last game and you have to wait till May before you can win. Because I think Liverpool are being quite respectful and not chasing them publicly. We all chase them publicly, but nothing from the club. Whereas Bayern have come out and said they're interested and whatever else. And I think that might be a bit more of a mind game from them to try and unsettle them, with them trying to catch them for the Bundesliga title, which I don't think would go down too well. But I think obviously, did you say the 10 points clear now and about, 11 games to go? So, a few more games, that could be one for them, say, start of mid-April, depending on results. If they've then won it, and we haven't got them in the Europa League draw, I don't see why the competitions can't start. So,
Yeah, so
hopefully, but he's destined to come to Anfield in terms of with Leverkusen. I'm pretty sure we're going to draw them in the semi-final. It's kind of written in the stars.
yeah, it is indeed. I
No,
think
Alan. We want them in the final.
in the
Oh no,
final.
I want them to get knocked out because then they're a good team. But but I think it would be fascinating if we drew them in the semi-final, second leg at Anfield, and the atmosphere. It'll be a bit like I remember going to a game years ago. It was a pre-season game against Lazio, and obviously the Gareth Barry rumours were rife, and the fans literally for 60 minutes of that game sung Xabi Alonso's song from start to finish, non-stop, to make sure Rafa knew. And it wouldn't surprise me if we got them. Depending on how the game's going, let's make sure we know that,
Yeah.
that we gave Xabi Alonso, we made it clear to him that we love him and we wanted to come home and finish off what he's got unfinished business. So he's got to come back and finish it off.
So it's 10 points and 10 games left to go for Xabi Alonso. So yeah, that's the position to, the best position to be in probably. Okay. I wanted to say, maybe not really related to the stream, but yeah, after hearing you say the Bayern, the way Bayern approached Leverkusen, not even have approached Leverkusen, the way they've basically said it out loud in the media that they want him, I think that's just one extra reason to hate Bayern. I just cannot stand that club. They just imagine the outrage if we win the league and then we buy the number 10, the center back, and the coach or the manager, of the club in second place. And for Bayern, they've actually done that in the last few seasons. So yeah, I absolutely hate that club. And on that note, we will leave it here for this evening. Thank you very much to everyone who dropped by, who left a like, who subscribed to the channel, and of course, who was part of the conversation. Thank you very much to Paul, to Alan for being here tonight. And, I wish them a good week of work that we're going to have since tomorrow onwards. So yeah, see you on Thursday and on Thursday for the post-match stream, but every day, 7:30 p.m. UK time. Up the Reds. Have a great week, everyone.